Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NASCAR News Center studio. I'm Jonathan Merriman here with Dale Earnhardt Jr. for a very special Facebook Live. Dale, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I've been pretty busy, as far as the off season, having some time with the family. I thought we'd have a little more time than we've had, but boy, we've been grinding, and there's a lot of work ahead too.
So you've been retired since Homestead. Tell me the biggest surprise that's come your way, either for the good or for the worst, of just things that pop up during retirement.
It's not been much different. All the other drivers, that are going to continue racing and start the new year, I mean, we're all kind of doing the same thing right now, except for I'm not at the shop as much. I'm not, getting cars ready or pouring new seats and doing those type of things. But we've been working a lot. We're obviously still trying to, be successful at junior motorsports. So we got those 4 teams getting ready for this season coming up, and that's those things take some commitments of my time. Getting ready for the new job next year as a broadcaster in the booth, and whatever NBC needs me to do, they're going to send me to the Super Bowl in South Korea. So we're getting prepared for that. There's a lot of things that you have to do, I guess, that I didn't realize to get prepared for being a broadcaster. And I've been able to lean on Letard and Jeff Burton and Kyle Petty and those guys to understand exactly the shift that I'm going to make personally and professionally, and some of the things I need to look out for, maybe some shortcuts that they can help me make that they've learned. So there's a lot going on. We're traveling a lot. And it's been fun. It's been all good stuff. I'm really excited about what I have going on, excited about going to the Super Bowl, and certainly excited about going to South Korea. So looking forward to those opportunities and this new chapter in my life with NBC.
So with the Super Bowl and the Olympics in South Korea, have they kind of given you any indication of what you're going to be doing when you do that? And have you ever been to South Korea before at all?
I'd never been anywhere like that. We did go to Japan to run that exhibition race back in 1999, and but haven't went to Australia in 2004. But this will be the first trip to South Korea for sure. Looking forward, I love it. I think it's going to be an exciting opportunity to see all these countries come together to compete, and some of the best athletes in the world doing what they do. Is going to be impressive to see that firsthand. You watch on TV and get an understanding of what's going on, but being there in person is going to be a whole new ball game. I have, I did go to meet with NBC in New York City over the holiday and get some understanding of exactly what I'm going to be doing. So, as far as at the Super Bowl, I'll be working a little bit during the pregame. And basically, they just need me to go there and try to help promote the sport and help promote NASCAR and the Daytona 500. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go up there, and we're going to have a little fun during the pregame. We'll stick around, watch the game. That'll be a great experience just to see what the Super Bowl's like. I've never been to a Super Bowl before. And then the same thing with the Olympics. We're going to go over there. I'll be there for a week. If they see an opportunity to sort of plug me into what's going on, they'll do it. And it won't be anything out of the norm, or, it's going to be fun. And I'm not going to be there calling play-by-play of these events. I'm just going up there to sort of talk about NASCAR a little bit, tell people what we've got planned for the season as far as our broadcasting and so forth, get people remind people about, our sport and to watch it. But also to tell people that, obviously this is a new job for me, and I'm excited about it, and being in the booth next year, and hopefully we can get people to tune in.
So what is this I hear about you getting to ride in a bobsled?
Yeah. Well, I've been talking to some of the bobsled guys, part of the U.S. team, for a couple of years about maybe riding in a bobsled, and that would be the one Olympic sport that I might say is the most similar to NASCAR racing or driving a race car. So it's certainly one that I've been most interested in as a kid growing up and watching the Olympics. They've offered me rides in the bobsled for a couple years now, and I feel like that the timing's good, so I don't think that we'll have the opportunity to do that while we're in South Korea. Those guys, they're going to have everything shut down. It's going to be about competition. I wouldn't want to do anything that's going to take their mind off of what they're doing, even if the opportunity was there. I can come back to the States in March and shoot up to Lake Placid or wherever they're at, and have a fun day when they're able to relax and have a good time with it too. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, and I know some NASCAR drivers have actually done this recently. A lot of the Toyota guys, I think, were taken to Lake Placid or somewhere to ride in the bobsled. I saw a lot of footage of that. It looked like a lot of fun, so I'm excited to see what that's like.
Let's talk about our Super Bowl, the Daytona 500. You're not going to be in that this year. Have you kind of come to terms with that, or is that something that you haven't even thought of yet, of having the 88 out on track and you not being behind the wheel?
You know, it's definitely going to be an odd feeling. I won't feel that until it's happening, leading up to. It'll be weird, I guess, when I know guys are at the track and I'm not there. You know, it'll feel like, man, I'm supposed to be at the track. There's going to be a part of me that wants to be there, wants to be in the car, wants to be going through that process of getting ready for Daytona. Speed Weeks to me is it's a fun experience, and I respect, what Speed Weeks means to our sport and what it's, the history of it and everything that's happened over the years at Daytona. So, a part of me is going to be like, oh man, I want to be there. I wish I was in a car, but that won't. I'm sure that'll eventually go away, and I'll get used to where I am and what this new chapter's all like and what it's about, you'll always miss it. You'll always, miss driving, and especially at Daytona. But I remember, for years and years I ran the Xfinity race there, and I remember the first time that I did not run that race, and I didn't feel weird about it all the way through Speed Weeks as the cars were out there practicing. I still had the Cup car to keep me busy, and I never felt I didn't miss it until the race started. When the race started and I'm sitting there watching it and everybody else is out there running that Xfinity race, I missed it in that moment. I'm sure that's going to be what I go through when the Daytona 500 starts. Now I'm going to be the Grand Marshal of the race, which is should be a lot of fun, and that's going to keep me occupied, and I'll enjoy that for sure. But when the cars roll off pit road, I mean, that's a fun moment. That's a really proud moment for a driver to have gotten through Speed Weeks and positioned himself in the starting grid. It's a great accomplishment to make that race and be in that race and be starting it. So I'll miss that. Rolling off to start those pace laps is such a emotional feeling for the Daytona 500, and to know that I won't do that again is going to be a little difficult in that moment, I'm sure.
Now, you said last year when you were eventually going to get out of the car, that team was Alex's team. So when you're done with your Grand Marshal duties, will you go sit on the 88 pit box? Will you go to a motorhome? Will you go in the stands? Where is Dale Jr. going to end up watching this race?
I think it'd be great to see it from a lot of different perspectives, but there'll be most of me is going to be, I'm going to want to go to the pit box. And Rick has told me as a friend that he wants me there. If that's what I want to do, that I can be there, and I should be comfortable in that space. I certainly, don't want to be a distraction to Alex. But in that moment, in the race, nothing will be able to distract him. That car and the race itself is going to demand his focus. I want to be supportive to Greg, my friend, and the guys on that team that I know so well. So I'll certainly spend some time there. It'll be great to go up into the booth, see the race from all kinds of perspectives and really take it all in. I won't be around the bus during that event. I want to really see the action. It's been an incredible race over the last several years to watch, and so I'll be excited to see it.
All right, let's talk hypothetical situation. The end of that race, 88's out front. Alex Bowman takes a checkered flag. The guy that you kind of handpicked to put in that car with Greg Ives on the box, a guy that you handpicked to put on the box, and crew chief you, and now it's going to crew chief Alex. What's that going to be like for you to celebrate in that moment?
Yeah, I think that I will have. I'll be very happy for them. I'll be, I'll be proud to a certain point, but it's at some point you sort of have to pass on the baton of I've influenced this and I've helped Alex get to this point. Eventually you sort of have to untie the strings and just say, this is his career and his life, and he's in charge of it, and I'm not as much of an influence on him today. as I might have been years ago. And the same thing with Greg. I mean, Greg's got to make his, Greg's got to make his own way, and I'll be very happy for them as friends and individuals, knowing who they are and what makes them tick and what makes them happy. It'll be a great moment to see them have success. I know they will. I believe in Alex and Greg, and so I'm excited to get the season started. I was telling Greg all last year, we would really get in some bad situations, or when things weren't going great for us. I kept telling him, like, man, next year is going to be such a great year for you with Alex and this new beginning and this new opportunity, and let's we'll keep working, but this isn't this won't define Greg, that season that we had last year. I'm excited for this coming season for him specifically. I know Alex is going to be fine, and his attitude and his youth will get him through a lot of difficult situations. But I'm excited for Greg because he deserves and he deserves success, and it'll be fun to see them do that this year.
February 15th will be the 20th anniversary of your dad's one and only win in the Daytona 500. What are some memories that you have from maybe after that race and celebrating and just kind of emotions that come up on that day?
There is no, I've never won the Cup championship, so it's hard for me to compare in what I know about the sport, right? And granted, I haven't won a championship. And what I know about the sport, there is no greater elation than winning the Daytona 500. There's no greater just rush of emotion compacted into this tiny little, couple hours. When as you're running the race, you're not having that emotion. You cross the finish line and it just comes rushing to the surface, and that experience in victory lane with your team and your family and whoever's there, and the spectacle of the event, how big an event is. You just won the biggest race of the year, and to start the season, it isn't the last race of the year. This is the biggest race of the year that starts the season. Like you're just, it couldn't be better. And so to have that, there's no greater feeling. I won championships in the Xfinity Series, won races all through both series, celebrated a lot of different, milestones in my career, my dad's career. That feeling you get when you're in victory lane at Daytona is, man, if you could bottle that, it'd be priceless. It's just such a great feeling, and I was so thankful to do it twice. Having felt that way one time in my life, man, you want that one more time. You want it. And so I was so grateful that I got to do that again, because my dad told me a long time ago, he's like, we won this race at Texas, and he grabbed me and he goes, remember, you've got to enjoy this now. Don't let this pass by and you go, dang, it's over. Now I got, because the next week there's another guy going to win a race and you ain't going to be the winner no more. He's like, enjoy this, what you're doing. You got this whole, media and all these things you're going to do after this race. Take it in. I'm going home. And so I celebrated the first Daytona 500 win as good as I could. But when it was over, you go to the next race, you get people patting you on the back, but then somebody else wins, and that moment's, it's a memory. So that second time, I was so thankful to win it a second time, to be able to really, make sure that I didn't leave anything on the table when it came to enjoying that.
Now, a year ago, an article came out on ESPN. Tommy Tomlinson wrote that, and there was a quote in that article that says, sometimes he believes he is who he is only because his daddy was who he was. How has the past year and a half of your life, and, it talks about the work with Jane, the therapist, in that article and everything, how has that kind of changed your outlook over the past year and a half, and how is that maybe going to help you moving forward in your new role?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't a big believer in therapy. I don't know a lot of guys that are, but when I got a chance to, when you meet the right person, that you can connect with and can help you understand some of the things you're dealing with and some of the mistakes you're making in your life, that was a profound thing for me, and I went from that's a long drive down to see Jane, and I really don't want to do this today, to I can't wait to go to the next one. And you would leave there Like I've gotten new tools, to get through all this. And so it was a great experience for me. That was me and my wife joked that the two most important people in our lives are our therapist and our dentist. And we had both of them come to our wedding, which was great. So everybody else could see the two people that we care the most about. I'm a freak about my teeth. I just, I've always sort of, I love my relationship with my dentist. But we talked about that on my podcast this past year, which was a lot of fun. But I feel like that, we talk about it all the time, but meeting the right person, my marriage with Amy and the process of me becoming a better man and a better boyfriend, better fiance, better husband. I mean, just becoming a better version of myself. And it wasn't all on her shoulders. I had to be on board, And man, I laugh at the way I used to be about life. We have vacation home, and I went from, I would say, man, I want to go down there with all my buddies for a week. And she's like, God, when are we going to go? Just me and you. And I'm like, that sounds so boring. Why you want to do that? Well, don't you want to just bring a bunch of friends and go? That's more fun. And I went from that guy to, I don't want to go down there with nobody else. I want to go with Amy. And guy trips sound fun, but I go on them. After a couple days, I'm like, where's my wife? That's the person I want to be with. And I wish she was here. And it's just such a better place for me. I love it. And that's been a big influence on about everything in my life. Having her support and, me becoming that better person has helped me make better decisions for myself. And it's made me come out of my shell. I used to be this real introvert, didn't really want to do anything, go anywhere, talk to people. I wouldn't do this. I'd be like, man, I don't want to go down there and do that. But I'm just, more comfortable, I guess, to get out and experience things. That's why I'm excited about, going to the Super Bowl, going to South Korea. Me, 10 years ago, I'd shut that down, man. I wouldn't be about that at all. But, now I understand, like, man, this is living. Get out, And plus, I want to help the sport. I want to be a part of the sport. I want to be I felt like as a driver, I was an asset to the sport. I want to be that as a broadcaster or whatever they want me to, whatever I can be to continue to help the sport and be a part of it, because that's all I've ever done is be in racing and be involved in racing. So I'd love to continue that.
Well, one more and we'll let you get out of here. You were investing some time today in some young drivers. How did you give them any advice on maybe how you've, the past year and a half of your life compared to, the 16 years before that and how you handled yourself in your career? What's the biggest thing you gave them?
I don't know really what the most important thing was. We covered a lot of stuff about, engaging the fans and how to, all of them, we're talking to all the rookies in the K&N Series, Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and all they're worried about right now is winning. Performing. They feel like, and this is correct to feel this way, but they feel like they've barely got a grip on their opportunity. They don't want to do anything to mess it up, and they've got to perform on the track to get a stronger grip, get more chances, and get that next rung on the ladder, get to the next level. So that's all they're focusing on right now is performance, performance, performance. And our message today was really that they need to also understand that they have a responsibility and an obligation to the sport and an obligation to themselves to be as important and as aggressive outside the car. Whether it's social media or working with our media, doing appearances, getting opportunities to be in publications. And so anything they can do to raise their profile, they need to do it and be open to doing it. A lot of guys either think they're not important enough or that they don't need to do that. They got to, if they win, everything else takes care of itself. A lot of the guys are just lazy. I was lazy. I didn't want to go to New York and promote the sport myself. I didn't want to leave. I want to lay at home and do whatever I want to do, play video games, whatever. I don't want to do things that, are taking me away from my hobbies and interests. So it's a terrible habit to shut that down. You get a reputation in the sport as someone who is not easy to work with. And then when new opportunities come, and maybe these are opportunities that you want, you're not at the top of the list. NASCAR is going to go to the next guy, the one that was more receptive. And so you just can, get you a bad reputation early on in the sport, but you have an obligation to grow the sport. That means engage fans, engage the media, engage your partners, your sponsors, and you have an obligation to yourself to raise your profile and grow your brand. The biggest thing I think is that when I came to the sport and we said, people were saying brand this, brand that, grow your brand. I'm like, what is a brand? What is my brand? I don't have a brand. What is that? It's not tangible. I can't see it. Can someone explain it to me? And I thought it was so silly. But as I got more and more involved and got further along in my career, I realized what a brand is and why it's important. It's really what connects you to the fans. Fans need to know who you are outside of the car, what's your interests, and can they relate to you? And so you grow your brand. Your brand is like this your reputation, your personality, all in one. And so we're trying to show those guys, and they're not going to pick it up right away. This is just, hopefully a couple of them were paying attention, but this is something they'll learn. And maybe down the road, they'll go, you know what, Dale was saying this makes sense now, So we're just trying to give them some tools so that they're aware that, everything they do out of the car should have purpose. Their interaction with fans and engaging on social media should have purpose, and be open to doing it. I don't know if we can say that enough to these guys to try to be more engaging to the fans and new fans, fans fans that aren't in the building yet.
All right. Well, Dale, we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
It's very much appreciated.
Yeah.
Make sure to catch him at the Super Bowl, at the Olympics, and also your Grand Marshal February 18th at the Daytona 500.